Kérem vigyázzanak, az ajtók záródnak.
Coming to Hungary is literally like landing on another planet. To outsiders, the Hungarian language is so strange that your initial reaction is to close your ears and block it out. At best, you might learn to say, "Külföldi vagyok, nem beszélek magyarul." I'm a foreigner, I don't speak Hungarian. The shock is so deep that some expats live for years in this state of linguistic denial. It seemed that Vitaly and I were going to be like that. We told ourselves that there were advantages in not understanding what was going on around us, in not knowing what banalities were being exchanged on mobile phones on the tram. Of course, this was nonsense. Sooner or later we were going to have to grapple with Hungarian. But how? The task was like trying to climb up a glass mountain. There were no associations or connections, no familiar footholds, absolutely nothing to cling on to. The reason Hungarian is so difficult is that it does not belong to the Indo-European group of languages like French or German or even Russian, but to the Finno-Ugric group. You might think then that Finns and Hungarians understand each other, but they don't. The Hungarians are lonely in their language. As they say proudly, and rather sadly, Hungarian is both their cradle and their coffin. For us, was it even worth trying to clamber into this coffin? We could always find a Hungarian somewhere who spoke English, and the Hungarians were so kind. They never demanded we spoke Hungarian. They seemed absurdly grateful if we managed to say, "Szép napot," have a nice day. But then we noticed that foreigners who didn't speak English made better progress than those from the Anglo-Saxon world. The Vietnamese, for example, spoke good Hungarian because they had to. We decided to become more like the Vietnamese. This meant going back to kindergarten when we were in our 60s. Luckily, we got the nicest teacher for complete beginners, a bright young woman called Agnes. She played games with us. She taught us to count. Egy, kettő, három, négy, öt. With Agnes, we learnt the animals. Kutya, machka, roka, mule. Dog, cat, fox, rabbit. Colours. Piros, kék, zöld, sárga. Red, blue, green, yellow. And countries. Anglia, Oroszország, Magyarország, England, Russia, Hungary. We were doing well, but then Agnes left to go to Germany. Of course she did. She was a highly qualified specialist with aspirations for her own future. We were grateful for what she had given us. "Maybe that's enough then," said Vitaly. "We can talk about red cats and blue dogs now." "3 green foxes and 4 yellow rabbits," I said. And for a while we gave ourselves a well-earned rest from Hungarian. But the Magyar nyelv, or Hungarian language, was not going to leave us alone. It pursued us in the form of Zoli, a jolly friend who had the extraordinary generosity to give us free online lessons for a whole year. He simply wouldn't hear of taking payment. Zoli made Hungarian fun. In his Fungarian lessons, we learnt practical things. At the dentist we could say, "Fáj fogam," I've got toothache, and in the supermarket, "Hol van a görög sajt," where is the feta cheese? At the piac or market, all this shopping language was incredibly useful. Zoli had a great sense of humour. He taught us the importance of polite small talk, and he also taught us how to swear. But then big-hearted Zoli left. Of course he did. He was a highly qualified specialist with his own needs and aspirations. It goes without saying that we were grateful. With both Agnes and Zoli, we had tried to learn Hungarian through the medium of English. It occurred to me that Vitaly might make more progress if we took lessons with a Russian-speaking Hungarian teacher. And so we got Oksana, a top-flight academic and linguist. But she was far too sophisticated for our level. Vitaly quickly dropped out. With Oksana, I did read the story of Tunda Ilona, or Fairy Ilona, and the libretto to Bartók's opera Bluebeard's Castle. But if I'm honest, I just put most of the text through Google Translate. In the end, I gave up too. It had been enriching, though. So now Vitaly and I were reduced to doing Duolingo. We learnt crucial phrases like, "The umbrella is next to the apple, but not above the airport," and "The hamster wore striped trousers." If we missed a day, the green owl sent a tearful emoji to our mailboxes. But then a strange thing happened. We had a breakthrough by working separately, in our own different ways. Taking a musician's approach, Vitaly stayed on one level for ages, drumming in the phrases until they became automatic. I took a journalist's approach, racing up the levels to widen my vocabulary and my all-round understanding. One day Vitaly boasted that he was top of the Diamond League. I was 7th in the Amethyst League. "How can you be top of the Diamond League?" I asked. "You just keep doing one exercise over and over again." "Ah, yes," he said, "but I bet you can't say,
A szalóban van a lány, a tanteremben van a fiú."
This train terminates here. Goodbye.